This hotel is so much stranger than anybody ever tells you. It's called Circus Circus. It's right there on the edge of the Las Vegas Strip. I had no choice but to stay there, and I had no idea about its dark history. I was in a desperate situation and I just needed somewhere to sleep. It looks safe on the outside. If anything, it looks inviting. But I made a massive mistake, and it led to the scariest, most unexplainable night of my life. Let's cut right to the chase. I met up with my friend Brock the day before this story. And really unfortunately, Brock got us into some serious trouble at a casino the night before. To sum it up, we got taken into a room, basically interrogated, and kicked out of the casino through the downstairs exit, which basically meant the tunnel system, and we had to find our way out. It was an absolutely horrible experience, but we got out eventually. And if you want to hear that entire story, it's the previous video on the channel. But after something like that happens, you're kind of left scrambling because you don't really know where to go, where you're allowed to go and where you're not allowed to go. But my biggest issue is that my belongings were still at the hotel that I was previously staying at. So picture this, Brock and I are walking from the outskirts of the strip back into the most populated area near the very popular casinos and hotels. And finally, we get up to the hotel that I was staying at. And my plans were to just go upstairs, say goodbye to Brock, sleep that night, and catch my flight the next morning. I didn't want to have any more fun in Vegas. I wanted to stay out of trouble and just get out of there. But we're walking up to my hotel and we get stopped at the front door. Not by security or police or anything like that, but by a bellboy. And I see that he's trying to make eye contact with me and he's walking towards me, and then I look what's in his hands and he has my carry-on bag and like my duffel bag, all of my belongings with him. And I'm looking this guy up and down like, first off, why were you in my room? But then I kind of understand why he was in my room, because I'm getting booted out of this hotel. And he comes up to me and he reiterates just that, looks at me and Brock and goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry, gentlemen, you're not going to be allowed on premises. We cleared out your rooms, we made sure all your belongings were in here and safe. You're going to be refunded for tonight, but you're no longer allowed in this hotel." And I shoot a look at Brock like, what did you do, dude? Why did you get me involved in this? Now where am I supposed to stay? My flight is for tomorrow. Luckily, I was refunded for the hotel, but I have to stay here tonight because my flight is non-refundable. But this bellboy is adding insult to injury, and he had this weird tone to him. It was like this passive-aggressive, like scolding. He was pretending to be really friendly, like, you know, he has a smile on his face because he has to do customer service, but the words that he's saying are not matching his tone. He's basically telling us, we are not allowed here, and not only are we not allowed on this premises, but they've contacted all of the surrounding hotels to not let us book there either. This man's telling me we're barred from the strip because of what Brock did. And eventually the nice guy act just gets a little bit old, and I reach out for my bag, like, just give me my stuff, I get it, we'll figure it out. And this bellboy slides me my carry-on, but then when he reaches out to hand me my duffel bag, he drops it right before I grab it. And the initial thought in my head is like, oh, you little twerp. You did the old reach over and drop on purpose. So I think he has something personal against me, but I have no choice but to lean down to pick up my duffel bag. And he takes that opportunity to lean over with me and whisper in my ear. And in a completely different tone, almost concerned, he whispers, "Circus Circus will take you. I'm so sorry they're watching us." And he stands back up and puts on that fake passive-aggressive customer service smile again, but I heard what he said. And then behind his expression, I see his eyes and they're really intense, almost like trying to confirm to me, like, did you hear what I told you? So I give him like a really slight nod that no camera system would be able to pick up. And I turn around and I start to walk away. And Brock feels the change in my energy and he's like, "What did that dude say to you?" And I look at Brock and I'm like, they're still watching us. He told us that we could stay at Circus Circus. And I don't even really know what that is. I just know that he was putting on a show for whoever was watching us, and he did his best to give us a tip. So I asked Brock, where is Circus Circus? And he's like, yeah, it's a couple miles away. I think we could walk there. So we start walking. And if you've never been to Vegas, when you're walking in the casinos in the air conditioning from hotel to hotel, you could walk long distances. But if you're going outside from hotel to hotel, a 2-mile walk could feel like an absolute lifetime. And the difference from inside to outside there is so stark. Inside is filled with luxuries. Outside is filled with like dread and despair. I don't know if they were locals, I don't know if they were homeless, but nobody outside is having a good time. And that walk felt like it took like 40 minutes in the Vegas sun. Brock and I took that time to game plan what we were going to do. And he told me that because he got me into that mess, he's gonna stay with me until my flight takes off. He's like, I'll drop you off at the airport and make sure you're totally out of here safe before I head home. And I appreciated that because I was here for a good trip and he pretty much ruined it. And the rest of the plan was to lay low, stay out of the way, and not get in any more trouble. So we finally pull up to this hotel, and it is so much different from the place that I was staying previously. Those main hotels on the strip are gorgeous. They're absolutely luxurious. And we're standing in front of this place that feels like old Vegas. And it's early in the day, so the neon lights of Vegas, you can't really see them. And this place in particular, you could tell was covered in neon lights. Like everything about the outside was meant to be seen at nighttime. And during the day, it just felt so old and outdated and dull. But they were gonna take us. And that's all we needed to know. We kind of begrudgingly walk in and we're testing the waters, looking around, just making sure we're not getting any looks from bellboys or security like they were tipped off too. But it seems like we're in the clear. So we make our way up to the front desk to see if we could get a room. And we could tell immediately that we're totally going to be able to get a room because this place is borderline empty compared to all of the other places that we've seen. It was completely different. It was like quiet and mundane in there. The only things that you could hear are the machines, and the people that were there weren't nearly as enthusiastic as all of the other places. So we had some optimism as we started to talk to the front desk receptionist. She was a little bit odd. And I didn't know if it was a part of the bit of the place, like Circus Circus, they're supposed to be performative, but it was almost like she was cosplaying, acting like a jester or a clown. Like she had these over-exaggerated mannerisms, and the way she greeted us was very clown-like. Like part of me felt she was gonna grab some juggling balls from under the desk and start doing a couple tricks. But I finally got the words out that I needed to ask her, which were very clear. Do you have a room for us tonight? I didn't want to seem desperate. I didn't want to seem sketchy. I just wanted to see if they had a room. And she starts clacking on her keyboard. Again, overly exaggerated. And right after I ask her that, she replies in a completely deadpan tone, completely different from her performative actions. Sorry, we're completely out of rooms, especially for you two. And right then I realize that she was tipped off too. They're not going to take us and we're completely stranded here. So I look over at Brock and he's looking at me in that same concerned way, like she knows. And then she bursts out into laughter, like cackling laughter. She goes, I'm just kidding, we always have a room. Brock and I didn't laugh at all. She wasn't funny. That wouldn't even be funny if we weren't in the situation that we were in. It was like one of those corny, overdone clown jokes that nobody laughs at, like they honk their nose after and that's the punchline because the joke wasn't funny. And she does that like kind of shoulder shrug because we didn't laugh. She's like, no, I use that joke on everybody, usually it crushes. Trying to brush off the embarrassment of bad customer service that isn't being entertained. And she hands over our cards to our room that have our room number and floor on it. We just say thank you and we try to get out of there as quickly as we can. We're on the 5th floor. So we make our way through this lobby. You have to kind of go through the casino a little bit, and then you get to the elevators. We click the button, doesn't take very long. One of them pops open. We get on there and we click the 5th floor. The doors close. Me and Brock start gossiping. Like, can you believe her? Like, I was worried, right? And as we're talking, I feel like something's wrong, but I can't put a finger on it. And I see the recognition in Brock's eyes too. And we both look up at the number that's showing what floor we're on. It's going down. We were at the lobby, which you would think is the ground floor, but there was multiple floors under this hotel. And we're going 1, 2, 3 down. And Brock and I panic at the same time because we think this elevator is about to open through the exit that the last hotel kicked us out of. And this was all just some sick joke, and this was going to be her second joke that didn't land. Give us fake hotel keys, then kick us out the bottom entrance again. We're so nervous about these doors opening and having to go through the exact same thing that we did the day before that we're both pressed against the walls of this elevator anticipating these doors opening. But it stops at the bottom floor and they don't open. The elevator just starts going up. Goes up, 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 lobby, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the doors calmly open on the 5th floor. We kind of look at each other like, oh, we're silly. We're totally silly for that. Like, we got way too scared for that. It was probably just an employee that hit the button and then like canceled it. I don't know, who knows? But we're so paranoid from the day before that we let that get to us. We get off the elevator, we make it to the room. It's a very standard room, 2 queen beds. We put all of our stuff down and I see a camera on the desk in the corner. It's not a regular camera, it's like a Polaroid camera. And there's a little note next to it that says 1 photo is complimentary, so you remember your stay here. And I remember thinking, that's actually a fun, quirky perk. We should probably do that. But first things first, we needed to shower and we needed to take a nap because we were absolutely exhausted. Brock goes first, I wait 5 minutes, I go second, and before you know it, we are out cold on our queen beds. And this is where that stay gets very weird. I was sleeping like a baby. I'm talking a bed has never felt so good. And eventually, I wake up. It's kind of like an abrupt wake up, like I heard something and my body kind of shocked awake. The first thing I do is I sit up. I try to like recognize where I'm at because of how hectic the past 24 hours have been. And I look over and I see Brock isn't in his bed. And then I start to scan the room and something feels really off. And I see inside of the bathroom, like the wall that's on the left of the bathroom, looks like it's cracked open. And not like a messy crack, not like somebody punched a hole through drywall. Like there was a false door there. Or more like a secret door, that if you closed it, you wouldn't even be able to tell. It would look like just a clean drywall painted nicely. And it was just cracked open a little bit. It looked like complete darkness behind it. And my stomach totally drops. And I'm thinking that has to be a closet. So I jump up out of bed and I'm kind of calling around for Brock. Maybe he's in the bathroom, maybe he's changing in the closet. And I slowly make my way towards the bathroom, repeating his name over and over again, trying to get a good angle on this crack in the wall. And once I get close enough, I could see the mirror in the bathroom. And then I start to look in the other direction, trying to get a reflection of the other side of the room, making sure that it's either only Brock in there or nobody's in there. No one's in there, but there's something on the mirror. If you have credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills piling up, this is something that you should probably hear. A lot of people think making the minimum payment means that they're making progress, but those payments are actually designed to keep you in debt for years, while interest keeps stacking up. PDS Debt works with you to create a personalized plan to help reduce what you owe and get out of debt faster. They don't just look at numbers. They take the time to understand your entire financial situation and find the best option for you. And there's no minimum credit score required. In fact, they've already helped hundreds of thousands of people take back control of their finances. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau with thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. And if I needed help getting out of debt, this is the exact kind of service that I would use, because every month that you wait means more interest and more fees. The joke's over, guys. Change your story in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment at pdsdebt.com/Dougie. That's pdsdebt.com/Dougie. pdsdebt.com/Dougie. And the second I see the thing on the mirror, the little secret door that's open on the wall slams closed, as if there was somebody on the other side of it. So I call out to Brock again, no answer whatsoever. But I see this Polaroid, and I could see some of the details, but it's pretty small, so I have to get closer. And I'm like looking all around me, expecting Brock to hop out at any point. But then I see it's Brock in the Polaroid. And I reach out and I take it off the mirror, and it's a picture of Brock downstairs at the casino. And he's on a slot machine, just sitting on one of those slot machine chairs. He has his hand on the lever because it's one of the old school retro ones, and it looks like somebody was standing over him and took the picture. It's not a selfie, but his mouth is wide open, like too long, and a little bit off to the side as if his jaw is hanging off his head. And I start to absolutely panic, because I think what we did yesterday, what Brock did yesterday and brought me into, got us into actual real trouble. Like I'm talking Las Vegas mob things. And they took him from this room, and this was them showing me that they did that to my friend. And I'm absolutely panicking. This picture is so graphic, I have to throw it onto the countertop in the bathroom. And the second it hits the countertop, the lights in the bathroom go off. And I think they're coming for me next. But then the mirror that's in the bathroom that Polaroid was stuck to lights up like it's a two-way mirror, like in one of those interrogation rooms. And there's a room of people on the other side of the mirror, like partying and laughing, and their faces are covered in clown paint. And my knees buckle, and the second my tailbone makes contact with the tiles on the floor, I jump awake. I do a big gasp, and I sit up in bed and I look around, and I realize that was totally just a freaky dream. And I'm so relieved in that moment, because it felt like an absolute nightmare. A secret door, a graphic photo of my friend, a group of weirdos behind a two-way mirror, like laughing and partying on the other side of this fake wall that they made just to observe me freaking out. It was such a good feeling knowing that was not real at all. So I'm fully sitting up, and I feel like the stress sweats on me, and I look over, and Brock isn't in his bed, but the time of day was different. It was clearly nighttime. So I'm like, okay, a lot of hours have passed. I don't really know how long I was asleep for, so maybe he went down to go get some food. And if I'm gonna be honest, I got up and I checked that secret wall, and I like cupped my hands on the mirror to make sure nobody was actually behind it. Like, I double checked the room. But then I made my way back to my bed. I was gonna throw on some shoes, maybe a change of clothes, and I noticed that the Polaroid camera's gone. And in its place is a little Polaroid. And I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't get a little scared, because I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be that horrible open mouth, broken jaw face. But the Polaroid was face down, and I could see that there was a little note on the Polaroid, and it was Brock's handwriting. And I knew it was Brock's handwriting because he did those like fake graffiti sketches on anything he could get his hands on, and it was in that same lettering. So I'm like, okay, here's a note from my friend. He's going to tell me where he's at. And on the back of this note, just scribbled on there, it says, "I don't gamble, LOL." Like he wrote out LOL. So I'm like, okay, he's joking. And I look at the photo. Part of me thought it was going to be terrifying still, but I laughed at myself when it was just a photo of him at a slot machine. So he was showing me like where he was, but it was somebody took it from behind him and like 10 feet back, like as if he brought the Polaroid downstairs and was like, hey, snap a photo for my friend, whatever. But he was showing me where he was and he put a little inside joke on there. So I put on some clothes, I put on some shoes, and I head out of the hotel room to go find him. I get in the elevator, I go down, it stops at the proper floor, and then I'm searching the casino for him. And I realized during that search, the way casinos are set up. And I was still in a slightly paranoid state, and I was looking for exits. You know, and you're just not feeling super comfortable, so you're like, something goes down, how do I get out of here? And I realized that all of the hallways are like curved, and the way that it's formatted, it literally makes you not able to see exits unless you go directly to them. It's like, that's a funny little trick to keep people in casinos. Like peeking around any corner, it's just more gambling or more food or more drinks or more fun, stay. And everything blends together really seamlessly. So I'm looking at this Polaroid that he left me, literally holding it up in front of my face, trying to match the slot machines to find my friend. And I'm going around for like 25 minutes until I finally find him in this back corner where there's these retro slot machines. And I see him from the back. And as I'm getting closer, I'm literally standing in the same position as whoever took this photo. And initially I'm excited to see my friend. But then as I'm looking around and I'm looking at the style of slot machines and the look of the carpet and the ceiling, it's reminding me of the Polaroid from the dream. It's pretty much the same setting, even though it's kind of blurry. And I'm trying to convince myself to not work myself up like that. But as I'm walking slowly towards my friend, who I see his arms moving, he's playing the machine. I'm kind of anticipating him to look like he did in the dream Polaroid. And I start to circle around him and I see his arm that's on the handle. It's kind of gripped the exact same way. So I start shuffling around and he pulls the lever and I'm starting to freak out because I see the side of his face and I see that his mouth is making an O. I'm like, oh my God, there was truth to that. Like that was a real photo. How did my mind conjure that? But then I take one more step and he starts celebrating. He was just going like, oh yeah, because he won that round. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such a dork for working myself up like that in that moment, convincing myself that I've just entered my nightmare. And he looks up at me and he's like, oh, what's up, dude? I'm like, okay, that was so silly of me. And I'm so relieved. And I'm just like, hey, I just woke up. How long have you been up for? He answers quickly. He's still playing the slots. I'm like, dude, I'm hungry. We got to eat. And then we probably should just go back to sleep again because the flight's early tomorrow morning. And he nods his head and he agrees and he just keeps playing. And we're chatting a little bit because I'm not trying to rush him off his seat. Like he's doing his thing. But he keeps playing and he keeps playing. I'm like, all right, dude, like I got to eat. And he's like, yeah, we will. Keeps playing. And then eventually I have to like tap his shoulder and be like, I'm not joking, dude. Come on, let's get out of here. Stop playing the slots. And I see him shake his head really hard. And he stands up really fast and steps away from the slot machine and looks at it kind of with disgust. And I'm like, you got into a rhythm, huh? And he's like, yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Let's get out of here. And I could tell he's like almost like a little bit ashamed. And I didn't want him to feel ashamed. Like he's playing, he's blowing off some steam, whatever. But he kind of scurries away from it and we start walking towards the food court. He seems to brush it off enough to start chatting with me. And I make a little joke about it and I'm like, so it turns out you do gamble, huh? And he's like, yeah, I guess, and shrugs his shoulders. And I hold up the back end of the Polaroid of the note that he left me. And I'm like, you little liar. Just messing with him. Because it says, I don't gamble, LOL. And he looks at it totally confused. And he stops walking. He's like, what is that? And I like look at the note and I hold it up, making sure I showed him the right side. And I'm like, it's a note you left me. This is how I found you. He goes, I didn't leave you a note. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? So I hand him the Polaroid, he looks at it, and I feel like he's recognizing that it's his handwriting, or at least something similar that would fool me. And then he flips it over, and he looks at the photo on it, which he's in the photo. And he goes, I didn't leave this for you. I have no idea who took this photo. Panic sets in. I literally feel chills from my ankles to my ears when he says that to me. Because that means so many things. It means someone came into our room while I was sleeping, took the Polaroid, went downstairs to where he was playing, snapped the photo, came back up, got into the room a second time and left it for me. So I could bring it to him and we could have this moment. And the only thing you could think about in that moment is where is the person that did that? Because if they went to that extent, you would imagine they would want to see your reaction when you realize. But this place is borderline empty. And the people that are there are paying no mind to us. Literally just like a couple older people with ciggies in their mouth ripping the slot machines. And outside of that, the odd workers that are being overly circus performative. And both of our minds go to the same place. The people that caught Brock yesterday are still following us. They know we're here and they're trying to let us know that we're not safe anywhere we go, even if they allowed us here. They have people following us. We didn't even need to say a word to each other. The decision was made. They win. They ran us out of town. If I needed to stay and sleep in a airport lobby, that's what I was gonna do. I was getting out of Vegas, and we start heading towards the elevator to go up as fast as we can, grab all of our belongings. Our heads are on a swivel, weaving our way through this confusing casino that has all of these windy hallways. We finally get to the elevator that we know goes up directly near our room. We're slamming on the button. Nobody's really around. Like I said, barely any foot traffic. It opens up. We get on. And Brock goes on the side where the buttons are. And I hear him tapping profusely on like the closed door. And I'm leaning out of the elevator, making sure nobody else is getting onto our elevator. And once they start to close, I hear him hit one of the buttons. That's like the floor that we're going to. I take a step back and the doors close. So at least nobody was on this elevator with us. And it was one of those moments where your body is anticipating one thing, but something else happens. You know, like when you're on a train and you grab the handle and you know what direction the train is going? So you know like where to put your weight, the way you're planting your feet, the way you're holding your leverage. Your body anticipates the movement. So I have my feet planted, and it's different than a train because it's going vertically instead of horizontally. My body is prepared to go up, and this elevator plummets, and it feels like I was on a roller coaster. And we just went over a drop. I'm talking my stomach goes into my throat because I was expecting to go up and we're going down again. And I freak out and I whip my head towards my friend, who I am assuming is going to be panicking just like me. And Brock is standing in the corner with his heels touching, both of his arms out at his sides with his fingertips touching each wall of the elevator, and his head hunched forward at me with a big grin on his face. And he basically grunts, "I want to go back down." And he's standing like a little vampire bat freak. And I don't think it's funny at all. So I start repeating to him, "I don't think that's funny. Brock, I don't think that's funny. Stop." Because I thought he was taking this seriously like I was. And now I think he's playing a practical joke on me. But he's staying in this weird posture, and this elevator is plummeting to whatever below ground floor this is. I'm about to have a panic attack when the doors actually open this time. And I don't think it's funny because I'm looking out into these weird tunnel hallways that Brock and I were kicked out of and sent into the night previous. I didn't want to have to go through that again. And I look at the buttons and he clicked down. It's not like they went down like they did the day previously before we went to sleep. He clicked the bottom floor. And as I'm turning my head back towards him, like, why would you do that? He's already running past me into these tunnels in the deep, deep basements of Vegas. And I'm not in on the joke. So I start tapping, "Close the doors. You think it's funny to bring us down here? I think it's funny to leave you down here. You got me into all this trouble anyway. Bye, buddy." And I'm tapping it rigorously. Some would say viciously. And these doors close and I start going up. I don't feel bad at all. He wants to mess with me like that? Have fun in the tunnels, dude. But I'm still freaking out because I don't think he was joking about the Polaroid. Whatever he was doing, the fear on his face was real when he saw that photo. And I get up to the 5th floor, I get out of the elevator, I get to our room. I'm basically sprinting down that hallway. I scan in, I feel like somebody's chasing me. I open the door, and the first thing that you see is the 2 queen beds, and I see someone laying in Brock's bed. And I stop dead in my tracks because I'm looking at the shirt, and it's the shirt that Brock was wearing the day before. But the room was really dim, and I see the shape of the head and kind of like the side of the face. It looks like Brock sleeping. And it was one of those moments where even though you're frantic and freaking out and you want confirmation, when you enter a room where somebody's dead asleep, you become considerate. No matter, like, that's your gut reaction, is to not wake this person up. Even if you were sprinting into the room and you slammed the door open, if they didn't wake up yet, you're like, oh, you still have that moment of recognition. Do I wake them up or not? So I close the door quietly behind me. The lights are really dim and I'm walking up, and the closer I get, the more I realize this is 100% Brock. I can see it. I know what my friend looks like. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, who was that in the elevator? Because that sure as hell looked like Brock too. And I get up to his bed and I have to walk around the foot of his bed and around to see his face. And I'm trying to see if his eyes are awake. Maybe he has his phone in front of his face and he's scrolling. Maybe he's already awake. But I get around and he has his hand covering his face, like he's kind of like nuzzling in bed. And I decide I'm waking him up. I have to wake him up. Because I still have this Polaroid in my hand, and I don't really know what just happened. So I reach my right hand out, and I shake his shoulder, like one good one, and his body falls from on his side to his back, and his hand falls to his side, and it reveals his face with his mouth wide open, way too far, and the jaw basically hanging off of his head. And he's looking at me like he's like this lifeless, slack-jawed anaconda. And in that exact moment, I hear from right behind me, I want to go back down. And I spin around as fast as I can, and I see this long, dark silhouette of something deep in the back corner of this room, with its heels touching, its arms out at its sides, and its head hunched forward, and I could see this contorted grin on its face. And the thing is as tall as the ceiling, and like less than a foot wide. Sorry, Brock, I'm out. I take 2 large steps towards the door in a full panic sprint, and I slip like I'm a victim in a scary movie, like I don't have an ounce of athleticism in me, and I bang my face on the floor. And the second my cheekbone hits that carpet, I wake up. I didn't wake up hours later in a different room in a hospital with a concussion. I woke up from the second dream. It was a loop. I didn't even wake up the first time. It felt real that second time. It really, really did. But the second one was a dream too. And I promise you, I'm not going to do that again. At that moment, I actually woke up. I really was awake. There's no third loop here. There's no trick to this story. I knew without a shadow of a doubt I was awake. It felt completely different. The second one, I had relief that the first dream wasn't real, but it was all a setup. It was just this one looping nightmare. And I woke up to Brock shaking me awake and him going like, dude, your flight's in an hour, we gotta go. And he's groggy and tired, and it's literally the next morning. And I'm trying to shake off that dream. You know when you have a really like severe nightmare, like you almost feel gross, but it's almost so fleeting right away. Like it almost takes you some time to re-remember it after you jolt yourself awake. It's kind of what it was like. Like I had that excess disgusting feeling inside of me, like borderline violated, but I almost forgot half of it the second I was awake. And I'm throwing together my suitcase because I do have to leave. We got to go right now. I get on my clothes for that day. He calls me an Uber. He fulfilled his promise. He's like, dude, I'm going to make the first stop the airport, and I'm going to take myself home in the Uber on the second stop, but I'm going to bring you all the way to the airport. We get our stuff together. We go into that elevator. It doesn't go down to the basement. It just goes to the lobby. We walk off. More people are coming in. It's a little bit more lively. We go to the front desk to check out. It's that same very performative lady doing the same similar things. Right when we walk up to the desk, she like leans in, looks at me in the face and goes, so do you want to check out? And then she looks at Brock and she goes, or do you want to stay another night? And she had one of those eerily familiar faces. Like I just couldn't put a finger on it. And at the same time, we're like, we just want to check out. So we do it very quickly. We head out of that hotel. We get into the Uber. We have a couple minutes of silence. And then I want to check in on my friend because we had a really rough 48 hours, specifically the day prior. Had nothing to do with the nightmares. And I ask him if he's all good, if everything's okay. And he kind of shrugs and looks at me and he goes, honestly, dude, I'm over it if you're over it. But I could tell something was wrong. And I'm like, no, dude, like, what's up? And he's like, oh, dude, to be honest, I just had the worst night of sleep of my life, which was weird because we slept for 16 hours. We got there early in the day. We slept through the entire day, through the night, into the next morning. 16 straight. How could you have the worst night's sleep? And he said, I just had this terrible dream that I couldn't get out of. And I look at him across that Uber and I'm like, what was it about? He's like, no, dude, it was nothing. I'm like, tell me what it's about. And this man proceeds to tell me the exact same dream that I had experienced. I'm talking detail for detail, identical, but with the roles reversed. He found a Polaroid with me in it, and I was gone. And he went to go get me from the slot machine. And he saw that same entity, and it said the same thing. I want to go back down. And I knew I was never going to Vegas again. I hope you enjoyed that story. Please like if you haven't already. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you want more stories just like this one. And just watch the previous video on the channel if you want more context to this story that you just watched. And if you like this video, YouTube thinks you would also like this one.